So, a super common thing that I see from international researchers, um, particularly when they're in countries that are not, um, that are often in the news. I like that term. That get maybe negative news. They often there's not a lot, but enough will reach out to you and say, can you help me? And the truth is that it's very challenging to address these issues. But I'm going to give you a different way to sort of go about things that you'll have far more success. Um, and I'm going to tell you this right up front. It's absolutely not fair. There's no rhyme or reason why I live in a country that um, predominantly, I mean, there's a lot of things that are not going well in America, but predominantly there is a sense of somewhat democracy. I know, or it's not complete democracy, but there's a sense of fairness. I know that it's a very troubled place, but at the same time, there's a sense of fairness. It's a country where a lot of people make a lot more money, and it's not fair. Um, it really is not fair, and there is no rhyme or reason why somebody is born someplace and somebody else is born in another place at a given time. Um, and there's no rhyme or reason for who is the leader that doesn't, who wants to cooperate or not cooperate um, with a world stage. And, those things happen anywhere in any particular place. And that there is a lot of sort of troubling trends that happen in any given time place, but also some good trends that are happening. But I want to give you um, a way to, if you want to address the issue and do tackle a problem where you're going to have more of a chance of getting help, this is what I would do. And I know it's super hard because um, I didn't grow up in a family that went to university, and I didn't understand any of this stuff either. It seemed like there was a very big distinction between people, and in reality, there's not. But this is what I would suggest that you would do is if you were to reach out to somebody and you're looking for help, I would not directly ask for help. I would ask. So, first of all, I would read up and think about the other person, figure out what they are um, interested in terms of their research interests. And, often today in the modern economy, it's not hard to find these things. So, I know that there is in some countries that there's paywalls, right? You can't get access to it, it's very expensive. But a paywall is essentially like a university pays for journal articles and things like that. But this is what you can do. There is a lot of free information that's available, working papers. There is a ton of just information, straight information for almost everybody except for the researchers that choose to be essentially under a rock, right? Like they don't want to be known so much. But for most people, there's a great deal of information. And so what I would do is read up and spend nights and weekends reading up about somebody. And I'm going to give you, so this is going to seem very self-centered, but there's a bigger picture to it. So I want you to, so find out about somebody that you would like to work with and you want to reach out with them and you want to be taken seriously, read up and find out everything about them and start writing a research paper that they would be interested in and really target it for them that they would be interested given their interests. And often researchers will talk about what they're interested in, what they're going to do, just so you go into the future research section of any research article and then start writing about a certain thing in that particular future research section and just keep writing about it. And I want you to target on one individual. And the reason is it's going to simplify your work greatly. It's going to greatly simplify your work. And then after that, so this is the tricky thing that's always the trick. And you're probably going to, so you're going to reach out to this person. You're probably going to spend 3 months working on it. And that's what I would hope for you to do, nights and weekends, really working on it. And you're going to get rejected. That person, unless they're a kind soul, and rejected is they will never, you'll never hear back from them. It will disappear and wait for a couple of weeks and you'll never hear back. Um, but this is what I would love for you to do, and this is why it's important. Once you have that research article that's tailored to somebody, there is a dozen other people that would be interested in that basic idea. And perhaps it's even more. There's probably 3 dozen other people. There's probably 100 people that are interested in that basic idea. And then you can use that as a platform to reach out to other people, customizing it to what they're actually interested in. And now it's getting much easier to do this with artificial intelligence at this time, and really leaning on the artificial intelligence that's available and the tools that are available so that you can craft something that is customized and something that is that is very much targeted. And I realize, I know it's so hard to do this um, because education is one of those things you don't see what you don't know, and it's hard to get a sense for that. But so here's what I would do if you're in an international place and you really want to go to a place and you want to target them, pick that school, and then from there you're interested in a certain area, then you dial down to that certain area and just pick any old researcher in that certain area, right? You want to go to Stanford, um, find and you're interested in anthropology, look at the anthropology department, just pick somebody, anybody in that department, and start writing to them. Start like writing something, spending a good months several months writing up something targeting to them that they might be interested. Read a bunch of their stuff, go down that rabbit hole, what's called going down the rabbit hole, where you're looking at what they're doing, you're interested, you're really fascinated, and you're reading and you're reading and you're reading and you read a whole bunch of their stuff. And the reason why I want you to stay on one person is that's gonna cut back on all of the work. It's not going to feel that overwhelming, and that's something that can be done. Now, from there, again, as I mentioned, then you could springboard. Once you target that person, you're going to get a reject, I guarantee it. But if you targeted that person, then you can go on to somebody else and springboard to somebody else. And it becomes easier and easier because there's certain people. Because once you start reading about their stuff, you're going to find in the readings that there's people that they cite a lot, and they actually refer to a lot, and then you reach out to them, and then you reach out to a different group, and then you kind of go down this path. I mean, you can go to artificial intelligence and get 3 of the articles that they have written. So go to ChatGPT, which there's a free version, and get one of the article that they've written, and then ask ChatGPT, paste it into ChatGPT, and then ask them to go through and list the number of times that other people have been cited or the different authors have been cited, and use that as your priority list. And then you go down, you find out that there's 100 people that have been cited. somebody's been cited 6 times, well, then talk to that person after that, right? Go through it, but you gotta look the part. And that's the key thing, right? Everybody understands where you're coming from, but if you go for the direct ask and you're not sort of solving somebody else's problem, you're just going to get a rejection. People are not going to pay attention because they look at that. This is what happens, right? This goes through somebody's mind. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is going to take so much work. I just don't have the time to go through this work. But if you're close to the dock, right? Like you use this analogy. I've heard this analogy before where you're going up to a dock on a boat and you get as close as possible to the dock. Then you reach out to them when you get close as possible to that dock by having research interests that kind of overlap. And I know it's going to take some time. I know it's a lot of work. And I know it's nights and weekends. It's a lot of nights and weekends of getting there, of getting it closer to the dock that you could reach out to them and say, hey, I'd actually like to work with you. Now, there's one more play that you could do to get your odds up even more. Everybody is going to be chasing the fancy girls in the room, right? Or the fancy boys in the room, the prettiest girls, prettiest boys. Um, don't reach out to them. Pick somebody else, and you could reach out to them too. I'm not saying, but if you wanted to play a more strategic game, you would find somebody else that somebody is citing a lot that is not at a complete top tier university and reach out to them, right? Like go down the ranking. You can go down in rank order. Essentially, people will, what the famous universities are. Pick a university that's not famous, that is not as famous, that you don't hear about as much. And then find the researcher there that is doing that and reach out to them. Your odds go up exponentially at that point of getting a reply back because people are just not reaching out to them because they just don't have that same they just don't have the same fanfare. It's a market that's about status and sort of fame, and so you need to look at that and play that particular game, right? And so you kind of go at it sideways. You're going to find far more people to work with by doing that. And all of this, it's going to take you 6 months. It might take you a year. But, what are you doing in your free time? I realize that you're all quite busy and you have a bunch of stuff. But if you're going to sort of go to that game, you're going to do that. It's going to take you nights and weekends. It's going to take sitting down for an hour every night, sitting down for a couple hours every weekend, doing this and building up your case. It's like building up a legal case when you go to law, right? You have to build up that case so that somebody will take a chance on you. And when you do that, it it doesn't matter as much about these scores and all these other things, but those things are important. I'm not going to discount them, but to build that relationship where you are fascinated and somebody knows that you're serious about it, your chances just go up exponentially. And I encourage you to think about that. Think about how you can play the game, play the long term game. And it's a long term, it's slow, it's painful, but it works. It really does. It will help out in the long run. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.